What's going on, everyone? Yesterday I made a video diving into Hank Loomis, Billy Loomis's father, and I proposed the question of why didn't Billy ever attack or kill his father? As far as we know, maybe something will develop over time, but as far as Scream 1, we've never heard anything after that. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend checking it out. I'll link it down in the description below because I want to kind of add a certain point. You don't really need to see that video to kind of understand what I'm going to talk about in this video, because this is sort of its own standalone. But I want to propose another idea as far as the Loomis household. But before we jump into it, be sure to like this video. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification so you never miss an upload. Stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. So, again, Hank Loomis, we know a few things about him character-wise. We know his bio, if you look it up, is a corrupt lawyer, right? So he obviously was a bit of a womanizer. He was sleeping with Maureen behind everyone's back. There were rumors that he was, roaming around with some other tail outside of that, and Mrs. Loomis essentially got sick of it and left. So it's very likely he has a lot of enemies. He's not the most nice, respectful type of guy, if that makes sense. Like, he would be a more rough. Even his demeanor and his character was very almost mobster. Like when he's in the police station talking about Billy, he's just kind of like, like what's going on here type thing. Like he's just very very nonchalant, like you can't touch me, you can't touch my kid type thing. And usually those kind of personalities are on the abusive side. So I want to propose the idea and have a discussion per usual on the possibility that Billy Loomis grew up in a abusive household. And I want to present a few sort of information and potential evidence to paint this picture for you all, and then have the discussion and all of that jazz. So now when it comes to the household itself, and as far as what we know about Mrs. Loomis and Hank, now we know Mrs. Loomis obviously became the Ghostface mastermind in Scream 2. That she was out for revenge, and though her sort of revenge reasoning didn't have much logic in a lot of sense, she was the one that left. It wasn't Sydney's fault. She kind of just targeted Sydney and used her as the blame. It's like, I can't kill Moraine, so next best thing is Sydney type of thing. And it just seemed very mad. It seemed like a lot of madness. So that didn't just come out of left field. Realistically, she had those types of, psychological ideas, and the way that she behaved was probably as such. She had that psycho in her. I mean, like when she snapped and flipped that switch, she was like, you were like, she is crazy. So it's very likely that Billy had two parents that were, one was the corrupt lawyer, the sort of mafia style guy, and then you had the psychotic sort of mother. And it would play in perfectly from a psychological standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, some hereditary type standpoint, where Billy had the same traits as his mother. I mean, his mother showed the psychotic tendencies. It's very likely that Billy would have done the same. That sort of would have passed down through that generation, and sort of adds more explanation as far as Billy sort of snapping in a lot of ways. You add in the mix that, he had a sort of broken household, given, the possibility that Hank Loomis and Mrs. Loomis could have been abusive, or maybe he was an alcoholic, maybe he just ran with a tough crowd, some bad people. I mean, Billy himself was very rough and rugged, and had that very killer demeanor to him. So it makes a ton of sense that he's imitating his father in a lot of ways. That's usually how children grow up. You imitate what's around you. You sort of evolve into your parents to some degree. And yes, of course, many children become the total opposite. Many children become something different. But I mean, clearly we saw the outcome of what happened to Billy. Billy became Ghostface. So it's obvious that, there had to have been some underlining point that outside of just everything in the events that unfolded. Obviously Roman probably manipulated him to a lot of degrees, and really got into his head to convince him to go this route. But the actual Woodsboro killings weren't really Roman's intention. He went another direction with that. So that plays into that psychotic state. That plays into that, that whole there's got to be an underlining issue that we aren't aware of, that was never presented. And I'd really love to see, especially Hank Loomis, being sort of incorporated to some degree in Scream 5, sort of explaining some of these holes, especially since, we haven't heard anything about him since Scream 1. We don't know if he's alive, if he's dead, if he died on camera, if he died off camera. And, the producers have said that they plan on tying in especially the original film, but several other pieces from the past films. So I would like to see, maybe touch on that a little bit. There's all the rumors and theories on Billy having a kid, or, some sort of relative, or somebody is related to the Loomises. Like, it would make a lot of sense. So touch on that whole point. Maybe Hank Loomis has something to do with that. Maybe he is still alive. I'd love to see a sort of cameo. I mean, at this point, his age-wise, he wouldn't be able to be a Ghostface or anything like that, just because he'd be in probably his 70s by this point. But he could still have those ties, that corrupt lawyer, that guy that you don't want to meet in a back alley. And just like I said, again, like going off of the way that Mrs. Loomis just was able to snap, points a lot to an underlining factor, especially given what Billy was, because Mrs. Loomis's logic was just crazy, and same with Billy. Billy never blamed his father. He never really, as far as we know, never held him accountable. So, yeah, of course it's the parent logic. Again, if you want a more in-depth explanation on that, then definitely check out the video down in the description below. But just in general, it's your parents. It's hard to, off your parents regardless of the outcome. But, it appears that it was a sort of trend in that household. And I really think that he had a rather broken home that sort of helped shape him into the Ghostface that we know of. But as always, this is a discussion, and I want to hear from you. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What's your overall opinion? Do you think that that this kind of points to the idea that maybe he did? Maybe he did grow up in a sort of dysfunctional, unhealthy household. I think it's definitely something that would make sense and sort of explain a lot of the reasoning behind everything from Scream 1, Scream 2, and I mean even to some degree Roman in Scream 3, how he was so easily to be manipulated, so vulnerable at the time, especially if he was in just a broken home, and then especially the divorce probably played a huge, well, not but how Mrs. Loomis just basically got up and left and abandoned him. I'm sure that played a toll. All of that strain probably really messed him up in a lot of ways. And then his father was probably no better, because again, based on his bio, it shows that he's not the best of guys. He was a corrupt lawyer. So at least that's how it was described. So it makes sense that Billy would just kind of be in this lost state, and he couldn't really confide in Sydney because he just killed her mother. Like, what is he gonna say? Like, he really had nowhere to go other than to Roman at that time. So it would make a lot of sense that that's kind of how it would play out. And I just think the broken home, abusive home type storyline just makes a lot of sense as far as Billy's character goes in general. But again, yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notifications. Stay up to date with all things Scream. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.